Today's lecture is about ecology of species. Ecology is the branch of biology dealing with the study of interrelationship between plants, animals, microbes with their corresponding environmental conditions like the availability of light, high and low temperature conditions, rainfall, humidity factor, and the presence of macro and micronutrients within the soil. Ecology is broadly divided into its two branches: horticology, dealing with the single species, and synecology, dealing with a number of species. Synecology can be subdivided into population ecology, community ecology, and ecosystem ecology. That is, when we study a single species population, then it comes under population ecology. When we study interrelationship between two or more species together, then it forms the community ecology. And when along with the community we study the abiotic factor together, it will comprise the ecosystem ecology. Now in the graph, the population of the red deer has a high mortality rate in winters, followed by a high reproductive rate in the other season. So there is a seasonal variation in the reproductive capacity of the red deer. This all together includes the biological clock of an individual. Now the term comes horticology. What it refers to? It refers to the study of life cycle, distribution, differentiation, the interrelationship with the abiotic factors, its adaptation, as well as adaptation leading to the genetic modification occurring within the population of the individual species. The term individual species is marked in the case of horticology. That is, horticology deals with the single individual species in whatever its life cycle, distribution, differentiation, its ecological relationship, adaptation, its genetic variability, all in relation to environment. But the study is dealing with only one single species. Now, all the behavior of the species, that is the phenological behavior, depends upon the various environmental factors. This synchronization of the activity of the plants, as you see in the previous picture, in the case of red deer, they have a low reproductive rate in the winter months as compared to the other months. This all is called a biological or ecological clock. Now, the diagram showing the entire plant of apple, how the flowering occurs, and then after flowering, fruiting, after fruit formation, ripening, after ripening, the ripe fruit fall off from the tree, and then tree with no leaves at all, that is the falling of leaves. Entire cycle is showing the rhythm of the plant with the environmental condition. This is the biological or ecological clock of a plant. Now, a term in the study of ecology, that is phenology. The various processes of the plant from its seed sowing up to the fruiting and then senescence period is known as phenology. That is, it deals with the study of seed germination, seedling growth, then vegetative growth, then the flowering stage, and then fruiting, and after fruiting, the falling of the fruits, and then the senescence period. All is covered under a single head, that is phenology. Now the Brassica campestre plants, it's showing its phenology from the sowing of the seeds, then the seedling formation, then its leaflet formation, and in the winter months the elongation of the stem occurs. After that the flowering, and then the pod or legume formation, that is fruiting stage. All this is studies in the under a single term, that is phenology. What is the phenology of the Brassica campestre? When it starts seeds germination, then it comes under seedling stage, then leaf development occurs, then elongation of the stem occurs, flowering, fruiting, all is studied under phenology. Now the autoecology, that is the study of the single species, is studied under the following heads, like the name, morphology and geographical distribution. Like first of all we have to know the name. What is the name of the plant? That is like Brassica campestris, Pisum sativum, whether it is Cucurbita maxima, name. Then its morphology, that is whether it is herb, shrub, tree, trailer plant. These are the morphological heads under which the plant is studied. Then its geographical distribution. What are the regions of the world and of the India where it is grown and cultivated? Natural distribution, the weed plants, they grow up on their own without any rear and care by the human. Then comes the regeneration. What are the heads under which depended upon the regeneration? Like what is the seed output, number of seeds produced, and out of the number of seeds produced, how much is viable, that is able to germinate. Now the source of their dispersal, whether human agency or by the air or by the mode of water or by some animals, these are the modes of their dispersal. They also depend the process of regeneration in a particular species of plant. Now the viability of seeds, how long the seeds can remain viable, whether it is a single month or number of one or more year. It also recovers that the plant is able to regenerate larger the time period of the longer is the time period of the viability of the seeds. Now the seed dormancy, the inactivity period, that is the time period for which the seed remain dormant, inactive, all its activity is suspended during the unfavorable condition, and with the return of the favorable conditions, seeds starts to germinate. Now for the germination process, what is the reproductive capacity of the seeds? That is, after the seed germination, the seedling grows, elongates, the stem elongates, then flowering, and flowering stage, how much reproductive is the flowering? That is, flower is modifying into fruit. Now the seedling growth, vegetative growth. A plant can be vegetatively propagated or it may be grown through the process of seed germination. Now, the law of minimum. All of you know that the minimum determines the rate of a reaction. Similarly, here in the ecology, the growth of a plant is dependent all upon the amount of the element or material present in a very minute amount. Like some of the plants require boron for their growth and germination. So the small amount of boron is responsible for the growth of a particular plant. That particular plant. This law was given by Liebig and known as Liebig's law of minimum. Now, what is the range? What is the range in between a species of a plant able to survive? This range, the minimum and the maximum, the range between the minimum and the maximum represent the limits of its tolerance. The law was given by Shepherd, and ecology we use a prefix steno which means narrow and uri which means wide. Like if we say plant is stenothermal, that it requires a narrow temperature zone. And if we say plant is eurythermal, that means it needs a wider range of temperature for its growth and propagation. Now a point comes, factor compensation. Organism starts germinating and then reacting to the environment, adapting itself, and even modify the physical environment so as to reproduce and to reduce the limiting effect of the limits of the temperature, light, water and other physical conditions of existence. So it is modifying the environment. This is known as factor compensation. The factor that is affecting its growth and germination is now getting modified by the activities of the plant itself. Now there is a term ecological amplitude. The range of the demands and consequent range of tolerance of a species is what we denote as its ecological amplitude. Now the species, the single individual's population, that is the species being fertile among themselves, can reproduce among themselves, differ morphologically from like ecots, ecotypes and the ecospecies. What is ecots? Ecots are also known as ecofins. That is, phenotypically they are different but genetically they are similar. Phenotypically, that is morphology. They belong to the similar genetic stock but they differ in their morphology. Euphorbia hirta, when it is surviving in the dry hard soil, is of prostrate type, whereas along the footpath it is of compact type. But both the varieties of the Euphorbia hirta are morphologically similar but differing due to the environmental condition. So their morphology is now getting modified. So they form different varieties, that is prostrate type and the compact type. But genetically they are similar. Now the term arises ecotypes. It is the product arising as a result of genotypical response of an ecospecies to a particular habitat. Euphorbia hirta found in the two ecotypes, that is the erect type found in the moist habitat, whereas the prostrate type. This is all you studied before that, factor compensation. The factor, that is the soil condition, whether it is dry or it is filled with moisture. So it has modified its body and morphology has caused change in its genetic constitution also. So now two varieties of Euphorbia hirta are developed. These are known as erect type and the prostrate type. This is known as ecotypes. More advanced stage, ecospecies. It is a unit of classification which contains one or more ecotypes which, although are capable of reproductive process in between but do not produce the viable offspring. Although the reproduction can occur between these two ecotypes or ecospecies, but the produced offspring is not viable one. So they come under the category ecospecies. From ecots to ecospecies. Ecots, that is, differ in morphology but similar in genetic stock. Ecotypes with the More modification, genotypic response, the genotypic behavior is also changing, genetic constitution is also changing, and the eco-species is forming which are reproducing among themselves but are not producing viable offspring. Now, picture of ecophytes. These are a single species of plants with its 4 ecads. That is, they are genetically similar but morphologically they are different. You are seeing in the diagram also, one is of trailing type, one is erect type, another is prostrate type, then an compact type. These are known as ecads or ecophytes. More development causing them to form ecotypes or ecospecies. That is, the genetic constitution is modifying also. They can reproduce among themselves but can't produce viable offspring. Like in the figure, they are differing in the morphology as well as in the genetic makeup. Now, in the horticology, we have to study ecological niche. From childhood, we have studied about the habitat, that is the spatial position of a plant or animal or microbe in the environment. That spatial term, their spatial position is now studied in a broader sense. That is, now the functional role as well as the abiotic environment is also included. So, the term is now called ecological niche. It was first used by Grinnell and it involves 3 things. That is the spatial habitat, that is the space occupied by the organism, and the next is the trophic niche, that is the trophic position of an organism, that is whether it is a producer, primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, or it is a decomposer. Again, more development, multi-factor or hyper-volume niche, that is along with the above 2, that is the spatial space occupied by the organism, its trophical role, and also the range of environmental variables, the temperature, the humidity, the moisture condition, the rainfall, all which are regulating the growth and development process of a species, in which a species can live and reproduce. In the pyramid, you can see that the base is occupied by the primary producers. They can be phytoplanktons in the oceans, and then comes the herbivores, that is zooplanktons, and then comes the first level of carnivores or consumers, that can be fishes, jellyfishes, and then comes the second carnivores level, that is the secondary consumers, larger fishes, and then comes the third level, that is the again carnivores, consumers, squid, and then top carnivores, shark, dolphin, and some birds like albatross. There is transfer of energy, solar energy from producer to the consumer take place through a law known as 10% law. That is, if the plants, that is the producer, get 100 kilojoules of energy and only 10 kilojoule will pass on to the herbivores and 1 kilojoule to the first level of consumers. This is how the transfer of energy takes place from one trophical level to another. You can see in the picture the decomposer, that is the bacteria, the fungi, the yeast, that are decomposing the dead and organic remains of the plants and the animals. Now the hyper volume or multi-dimensional ecological niche, what we are talking about, that dependent upon the environmental conditions along with the spatial position and the trophic position of an individual of a species. That is here nitrogen content, the carbon content and the phosphorus content determining the position of the single species in the environment. That is spatial neck, and then the trophic neck, and then the multi-dimensional hypervolume neck. Ecological equivalents. The species, although they occupy same or similar ecological niche, that is, they are occupying a same type of spatial space, the same place in the trophic level, the hypervolume niche is also similar, but they are present in different geographical regions of the world. Likewise, example is kangaroo. Kangaroo of Australia is ecologically equivalent to the bison of North American grass. Both are surviving in the same spatial position, that is the grassland, and both are herbivores, and they require the same amount of light, temperature and nutrients available in the soil, but one is found in the Australian region and another in the North American region. So they are geographically differently placed species. They are called as ecological equivalents. Now similarly, the frogs in the two regions, that is in Madagascar and the South American region, these are ecological equivalents. They occupy similar niches but live in different geographical region, and because of the geographical region you can see they are morphologically different. Now, due to these modifications, the species are showing up different modification in their morphological characters. This is known as character displacement. As you can see in your houses, the lizards, some are more darker in shades and some are lighter. They demarcate their territory and not allow another counterpart to come in its territory. This is a kind of modification for the survival. It is called as character displacement, and it was explained by Brown and Wilson in 1956. He studied the species of the bird, the nuthatches, species that occur in different geographical region, separated by a spatial barrier. That is, they cannot migrate from one area to another. They are known as allopatric. Whereas the species that are in the same area but not the same niche, they are called as sympatric. Similarly, Darwin finches on the Galapagos Island also showing the character displacement due to according to which he propagated the law of natural selection. Character displacement enhances niche displacement, reducing the competition. If one or more species is surviving in the same area, then the same amount of nutrients they have to recover from the soil. So there occurs a competition for the food material. So character displacement helps in their survival. So it is a kind of natural selection. It also enhances the genetic segregation by preventing hybridization, thus maintaining greater species diversity in the community. Means, along with the morphological changes, some genetical change also occurs which can lead to their maintenance in the community. So a number of species, greater the number of species, the more diverse the species, the more it is available in the environment and there is no competition among them. These are the 4 types of beak. As you can see in the diagram, modification in beak structure due to the different kinds of seeds habit these birds have adapted for their survival in the environment. Similarly, the Darwin study in the Galapagos Island, the adaptive radiation in the shapes and sizes of the beaks according to the food material they are eating, whether they are eating birds and fruits, some cactus seeds, or some seeds or insects. The modification similarly occur for the survival, and no competition can occur among themselves. So there is a species diversity, their survival is possible, and also they are enriching the ecosystem with their diverse species. Now, ecotone. The two ecosystem, the reason between the two ecosystem, that is that is in the diagram, land and aquatic ecosystem, a pond or lake separated by a barrier region that is known as ecotone. The ecotone region or transitional zone, the transitional zone is more suitable for more number of organisms. As you can see in the figure, the number of organisms and plants is more as compared to the two ecosystem 1 and 2. This is also known as edge effect. That is, the transitional zone is more diverse and more suitable for more number of organisms than the number 1 and number 2 ecosystems. This is known as ecotone. Ecotone is not a barrier. The plants or animals can move from one land ecosystem from passing through the ecotone and going towards the aquatic ecosystem. Thank you.